Hey there, it's Anne-Marie, the Anti-HR HR Lady, and I want to talk to you today about why HR telling you that they're going to undertake an investigation of your claim of discrimination is not good news for you. But first, who am I? I'm Anne-Marie. I'm an HR consultant that provides employee-focused advice and information about employee workplace rights and specifically about how to get your employer to pay you to leave a discriminatory hostile workplace. So often I have employees come to me for help after they have gone to HR and raised a claim of discrimination and they've suffered retaliation and other actions, and they always tell me, well, I went to them and they said that they were going to launch an investigation, but then I got put on a PIP. So I want to just raise your consciousness and awareness about why HR saying that they're going to investigate your claim is not good news for you. There are three things that HR uses investigations to do. The primary thing that HR uses investigations to do is to buy itself time. To buy itself time to absolve itself and paper over the complaint and dismiss it as not being discriminatory. That's the number one thing that they buy time to do. The second thing is to assess their overarching risk, determine whether or not what you're claiming happened and what that means for them from a risk perspective. That's the second thing. And the third thing is to buy themselves time to investigate you and determine whether they can come after you on performance grounds and put you on a PIP, right? The other thing that they will often tell you is that they're going to treat your complaint as confidential. That's a lie, especially if they tell you they're going to investigate. It's impossible for them to keep it confidential. If they have to investigate your manager, they are going to have to tell the manager that they're being investigated and what the claim is about. They may not tell the manager the name of the employee that brought the claim, but it's not going to be hard for the manager to figure it out. So it's important for you to understand that once you go and raise a claim with HR about discrimination, even if they say they're going to investigate, you're probably still going to experience retaliation from your manager and also retaliation supported by HR, primarily through putting you on a PIP. I have so many people that come to me and tell me they went to HR, they raised a complaint, HR said they would investigate, and a couple days later, a week later, I had one person tell me a day later, they were put on a performance improvement plan. These are people who never had any performance concerns, manager never raised any issues about their performance, but once they went to HR, raised a complaint, and HR said they would investigate, they found themselves on a PIP not long thereafter. In some cases, people have even been wrongfully terminated, right? When you are put on a PIP after raising a complaint of discrimination, that is retaliation, and it is actionable, and you need to be aware of that, and you need to carefully document it, and you need to raise that as an additional complaint that HR is allowing your manager to retaliate against you by putting you on a PIP, right? But the whole thing of we're going to investigate is not to benefit you. It's to protect the company, and it oftentimes to protect the manager, because the manager is an agent of the company. So what the manager does, the company is responsible for. So you need to understand that if you go to HR and ask them to address a discrimination claim and they say they're going to investigate, you should have a plan about what you're going to do after that, because they're going to start making plans about you. Now, a couple things to be aware of if HR decides to undertake an investigation of your discrimination claim. First of all, if you choose to tell HR about any documentation that you have, do not share that documentation with them. If they're investigating, they need to go gather their own information. You can tell them that you have documentation, but I do not recommend that you give it to them, because whatever you give to them, they're going to use to protect themselves, not to protect you. The second thing is, if you have other employees that either have had the same experiences or have witnessed things that have happened to you, and they have either said they're willing to corroborate or whatever, do not give their names to HR. HR will not use that information again to benefit you, and oftentimes it can result in people all of a sudden not remembering that they said that they were going to support you, not remembering things that happened to them personally, because someone gets to them and intimidates them, and then they don't want to raise those concerns anymore. So you can tell HR you have documentation. You can even tell them that you know of other employees with the same experience, but you don't need to name names and you don't need to provide them with that documentation. If they are investigating, generally speaking, they're either going to do it internally or they're going to get outside counsel to do it for them. Those people are well aware of how to undertake an investigation and gather information for themselves. You don't need to help them by giving them your documentation or giving them information that's going to result in them trying to absolve themselves of your claims rather than resolving those claims on your behalf. Okay? So be very smart about what you say when you go to HR and how much you tell them, right? And again, as I've explained many, many times, going to HR oftentimes is a decision to leave your company. So going to HR should be a step in a strategy. It should not be your whole strategy. So when you go to HR, that should just be one thing that you're doing, and you should know what your other steps are going to be before you get to HR, because once you get there, you are likely to start experiencing retaliation and other things that weren't happening before you went to HR. Why? Because they're likely to tell your manager that they're investigating a claim of discrimination. And even if they don't tell manager that it's you, it's not going to be hard for most managers to deduce, who brought the claim. They know when they're discriminating. This idea that people don't know what they're doing is also a myth. So you should expect that your manager is either going to start engaging in very, obvious retaliatory actions like trying to write you up, trying to put you on a PIP, or they might start keeping information from you, stop speaking to you, start ostracizing you, things like that, because they've been told that they're under investigation and they've deduced that it is you, right? HR may tell you that they're going to keep it confidential, but that's highly unlikely in most circumstances, and it's one of the things that irritates me the most that HR does, because you're lying to the employee and you're setting expectations that you cannot live up to. So you need to understand that investigation likely is going to result in some type of retaliatory action. You need to make sure you're documenting carefully any retaliatory action that happens, and you might even add it to your complaint that you have lodged with HR. I teach a lot of information about strategically how to use HR to get your employer to pay you to leave a discriminatory hostile workplace. You can grab access to my online course, How to Leave a Discriminatory Hostile Workplace with Cash, or how to ask for an exit from a discriminatory hostile workplace with cash and actually get it. You can grab access to that on my website, and it tells you everything you need to know about how to map a strategy that includes lodging a complaint with HR and effectively using it to get your employer to pay you to leave. But do not go to HR unless you have a strategy. Do not think that them telling you that they are going to investigate your concerns is going to fix your problem for you. It is not. It is likely going to bring new problems and raise additional problems for you. So make sure that you understand that. Don't be afraid of that, but know that it's coming and know what you're going to do in response to that. So in short, as I said at the top of the video, HR telling you that they are going to investigate your discrimination claim is not good news for you. So make sure that you have a strategy before you go to HR with a discrimination claim. I hope this video was helpful. I'm the Anti-HR HR Lady. HR is not your enemy, but they're definitely not your friend. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.